Hi everyone, I'm Mia.
And I'm Leo.
Welcome to the English Blend.
Today's topic is all about achieving fluency, not just correctness. It's about communication.
We want you to feel confident, whether you are ordering coffee or trying to explain something important at work.
Exactly. So grab your coffee and let's get started.
So, Leo, let's start with a definition that trips up so many learners. What is the difference between fluency and accuracy?
That is the foundation of today's episode. Accuracy is about correctness. It's about perfect grammar, perfect pronunciation, and zero mistakes.
Think of accuracy like proofreading a document. Every comma, every verb ending has to be exactly right.
Right, and accuracy is important, absolutely, but it is not the only goal, especially in conversation.
Fluency, on the other hand, is about smoothness and flow. It's about communication.
It means you can speak without long pauses, without constantly stopping yourself to check a grammar rule.
Your message gets your point across, even if you make a few small errors. That's a key phrase we want you to remember today. Get your point across.
When you get your point across, it means the listener understands your meaning, your main idea. Success.
Even if you say, yesterday I go to the store, instead of I went to the store, the person understands the main point. You visited the store yesterday.
The message was delivered. That is fluency in action. It's effective communication, not academic perfection.
So fluency is like driving a car, right?
That's a perfect analogy. Tell me more about that.
If you are an accurate driver, you know every single traffic law perfectly. You know the exact speed limit on every street.
But if you are only accurate, you might stop at every single tiny yellow light for 3 minutes thinking, am I supposed to go now? Did I signal early enough?
You're hesitant, you're slow. That's like stopping every 2 words to check a dictionary or a grammar book in your head.
A fluent driver might occasionally speed up a little too much or forget to signal once, but they get to their destination quickly and efficiently. They are smooth.
The goal of the drive is to get somewhere. The goal of speaking is to communicate.
If you constantly prioritize accuracy over fluency, you start listening to the little voice in your head that we call the internal grammar police.
Oh, the grammar police. They are very loud, especially for B1 and B2 learners.
They are the ones that stop you mid-sentence. You start talking about your weekend, and suddenly the grammar police say, wait, was that verb conjugation correct?
And you freeze. You stop the flow of the conversation. That freezing moment, that hesitation, kills fluency.
That's the major way grammar blocks fluency. It makes you an observer of your own speech rather than a participant in the conversation.
We need to turn down the volume on that internal grammar police, right?
Absolutely. And that's hard because school systems often train us to focus only on accuracy. We get grades for 0 mistakes.
In real life, nobody gives you a grade for speaking perfectly at the cafe. They just need to understand your order.
Let's try a small test right now, actually. Imagine you are telling a friend about a strange thing you saw earlier this week.
Okay, I'm ready.
Your sentence is, I saw a dog wearing a tiny little hat on the subway.
That's a great image. I saw a dog wearing a tiny little hat on the subway.
Now imagine you say it, but you accidentally used seed instead of saw. You say, I seed a dog wearing a tiny little hat on the subway.
I seed a dog.
Does your friend understand the image?
Yes, 100%. They understand I saw a dog and it was wearing a hat.
Did you get your point across?
I definitely got my point across. The main information was transmitted perfectly.
But was it accurate? No, seed is incorrect English.
So this is the core point. The accuracy was low, but the fluency was high because I kept going and the communication was successful.
If you had stopped yourself after saying I seed and spent 10 seconds correcting it in your head before continuing, that would have damaged your fluency.
Yes, the conversation would have hit a bump. It would feel less natural.
And we are aiming for natural flow, like water running smoothly.
I think a lot of learners, when they're at the B2 level, they have learned so many grammar rules that they feel a massive pressure to use all of them perfectly all the time.
It's the curse of knowledge in a way. You know too much, and now you are overthinking every little detail.
So, how do we break this cycle? How do we silence the grammar police and start achieving that smooth flow?
We need practical steps, Mia, real actions people can take today.
Exactly. We've boiled it down to 5 key practical tips. Let's dive into tip number 1.
Tip 1. Massive input, massive listening.
This might sound strange for a speaking session, but speaking skills start with listening skills.
Your brain needs models. It needs to hear how native speakers connect words, how they phrase ideas, and how they sound natural.
Think of it like this. You can't build a strong house without strong materials. Massive input is giving your brain the best, most realistic materials possible.
And we don't mean just listening to complicated textbooks or boring lectures. We mean listening to things you enjoy. Podcasts, YouTube videos, reality TV, anything that gives you real, natural conversational English.
The key word here is massive. It shouldn't be 15 minutes a day. It should be a significant part of your routine.
Try to have English running in the background while you do chores, while you commute, or while you're cooking dinner.
You might not be focusing 100% on the words, but your brain is still absorbing the rhythm, the intonation, and those natural connections.
This is how your brain unconsciously learns phrases and common word patterns, which brings us perfectly to tip number 2.
Tip 2. Speak in chunks, not single words.
This is essential for fluency. We don't speak word by word. We speak in groups of words, or chunks.
A chunk is a group of words that often go together, like a fixed phrase. For example, instead of thinking I, then will, then call, then you, then later,
You learn the whole phrase. I'll call you later. That phrase is one chunk.
or instead of building a sentence like I need to decide what I should do.
You use the chunk, I'm struggling to decide.
When you learn and use these chunks, you save time in your brain. You don't have to check the grammar for 4 separate words.
The whole chunk is pre-approved. It bypasses the grammar police because the police already know that phrase is correct and natural.
It's faster, smoother, and it sounds more natural to the listener.
Think about ordering a drink at a cafe. You don't usually say, I would like a coffee.
You use chunks like, could I get a large latte, please, to go.
Could I get is one chunk, to go is another. See how much faster that is?
This is the practical result of massive listening. The more input you get, tip 1, the more natural chunks you absorb, tip 2.
Now, let's talk about that moment of freezing we discussed earlier, the moment when the grammar police jump in.
We need a physical, actionable rule to stop that freezing. That leads us to tip number 3.
Tip 3. Implement the 3-second rule.
This rule is simple but transformative. When you are asked a question or you want to start a sentence, you have 3 seconds to start speaking.
That's it. 1, 2, 3. If you haven't started speaking by the count of 3, you are probably starting to overthink and let the grammar police win.
The goal is to force the words out, whatever they are, before your brain has time to start constructing perfect, accurate grammar.
It prioritizes flow over perfection. Remember, fluency means communication, not perfection.
If you wait longer than 3 seconds, you are allowing the internal editing process to begin, and that process is what causes the long, awkward pauses.
So, if someone asks you, what did you do this weekend?
You have 3 seconds. You might start with, well, or it was great. I went, even if you say something slightly wrong, like, I see a movie yesterday, because you rushed it, that's still better for your fluency development than a 10-second silence.
You got your point across, right? And the next time, because your brain practiced the fast retrieval, it might remember saw.
The 3-second rule trains your brain for speed, which is the muscle of fluency.
It forces you to rely on the chunks you've learned from massive input, rather than trying to build sentences from individual rules.
Speaking of challenges, let's talk about a phrase we hear a lot from learners when they feel this pressure. They say they sometimes hit a wall.
That's a fantastic phrase, and it's very visual. When you hit a wall, it means you reach a point where you cannot continue. You're blocked, either in speaking or understanding.
For example, I was talking to my manager about the project deadline, but I hit a wall when she started using technical financial vocabulary.
You felt completely stopped. You couldn't continue the conversation effectively.
Using phrases like I hit a wall makes your English sound much more natural and expressive. It's a great chunk to memorize.
Let's talk about a quick cultural note related to hitting a wall, actually.
Oh, I love cultural notes.
In many English-speaking professional environments, particularly in the US and UK, communication speed is highly valued.
Ah, the efficiency culture.
Exactly. If you pause for too long in a business meeting, even if you are pausing to construct a perfectly accurate sentence, the native speakers might interpret that pause not as thinking about grammar, but as not knowing the answer or being hesitant.
That's a subtle but powerful difference. The pause is interpreted as a lack of confidence or knowledge, not just language difficulty.
So the goal is to reduce those pauses, even if it means sacrificing perfect accuracy for communication speed. This feeds directly back into our 3-second rule.
That makes perfect sense. In professional settings, you must quickly get your point across.
Now, what happens after you break the 3-second rule and you actually make a mistake? That brings us to tip number 4.
Tip 4, embrace mistakes. It's not the end of the world.
Another key phrase, not the end of the world, means that something is not a disaster. It's not serious or catastrophic.
A mistake is just a mistake. It's frustrating, sure, but it is not the end of the world.
If you use the wrong preposition or if you mess up the past perfect tense, your life does not stop. You still communicate.
We want learners to reframe mistakes. They are not failures, they are data points. They show you what you need to study next.
And crucially, when you make a mistake while speaking, you need to practice self-correction without stopping the flow.
Don't halt the conversation to give yourself a 5-minute lecture on verb tenses. Maybe you noticed the mistake immediately. You said, I go, and you realize you meant I went.
Just quickly and smoothly correct it. I went to the park yesterday. See that? You fixed it, but the conversation kept moving. You didn't stop, freeze, or apologize excessively. The listener barely noticed the correction because you maintained the flow. That's the fluent way to handle errors.
If you are always terrified of making a mistake, you will hit a wall before you even start speaking. Fear is the biggest fluency killer.
Remember, we are prioritizing communication. If someone needs clarification, they will ask.
And if they ask, that's great feedback. It means you need to rephrase that part. It's part of the process.
Let's move on to our final key practical tip, which is all about keeping the dialogue moving forward.
Tip 5. Use the yes and technique.
This tip comes from improvisational theater, but it works wonders for conversation practice.
In improv, when one actor says something, the next actor must accept that idea by saying yes, and then add new information by saying and.
The rule is you never reject what the previous speaker said. You build on it. This forces you to focus on the content and move the conversation forward instead of focusing on correcting the form.
In English speaking, this means training yourself to respond to the idea immediately. If your friend says, the weather is terrible today, I think it might rain, don't stop and think, did they use the might correctly?
You should think, yes, I agree it looks terrible, and I didn't bring my umbrella.
You accept their premise, yes, it looks terrible, and you add your own relevant detail, and I didn't bring my umbrella.
This technique forces you out of your internal grammar loop, the police, and back into the conversation content.
It makes you a more responsive and engaging speaker, which is what real-life conversations are all about.
It reduces the likelihood that you will hit a wall because you always have a way to keep contributing.
Let's quickly review those 5 practical steps for boosting fluency.
Step 1. Massive input listening. Give your brain the material it needs.
Step 2. Speak in chunks. Learn phrases like, could I get, or I'm struggling to decide.
Step 3. Implement the 3-second rule. Speak quickly before the grammar police arrive.
Step 4. Embrace mistakes. Remember, it's not the end of the world. Self-correct quickly, but don't stop the flow.
Step 5. Use the yes and technique. Keep the conversation flowing by accepting and building on the previous speaker's idea.
These steps are designed to help you prioritize communication and focus on successfully getting your point across.
Let's go through a quick scenario applying all 5 steps. Imagine you are at a work event and you meet a new colleague from a different office.
Okay, high pressure, formal-ish setting. I need to be fluent.
The colleague asks you, "So, what project are you working on currently?"
Okay, 3-second rule. I must start talking now. I'll grab a chunk.
Go.
I am I am focused on the new marketing campaign. It's demanding, but I enjoy it.
Great. You had a minor stutter, I am focus, but you corrected it quickly and maintained the flow. You communicated the main idea efficiently. Fluency success.
And I used the chunk focused on, which sounds more natural than trying to build it up from individual verbs.
Now, let's imagine the colleague responds, "Oh, marketing is tough. We hit a wall trying to launch our social media presence last quarter."
Okay, I heard the chunk hit a wall. I understand they struggled. Now I use yes and.
Respond.
Yes, social media can be tricky, and finding the right audience demographic is always the biggest hurdle for us.
Perfect. You accepted their difficulty and added your own related experience. The conversation is moving smoothly. You got your point across about the difficulty of demographics.
If I had stopped to think, oh, wait, should they have used last quarter or in the last quarter? I would have lost the moment.
Exactly. Focusing on accuracy there would have caused a massive pause, and you would have seemed disengaged from the conversation.
We need to remember that people are talking to us for information, for connection, not to audit our grammar skills.
If you make a mistake, honestly, most native speakers either don't notice it or they simply process the meaning and move on. It's not the end of the world.
We want our listeners to practice speaking daily, even if it's just speaking to themselves in the mirror or recording a voice note describing their morning routine.
Use those everyday examples. Describe your breakfast, plan your commute, or tell yourself what you need to buy at the grocery store.
Apply the 3-second rule even when you are alone. Force yourself to start speaking instantly.
And try to incorporate those chunks you hear from your massive listening input.
Remember, practice makes permanent. Not necessarily perfect, but permanent flow is the real goal.
If you feel like you hit a wall during your practice, just pause, take a breath, and tell yourself it's not the end of the world, and start the sentence again, focusing only on getting your point across.
That's fantastic advice. Consistency is the key to unlocking fluency.
We hope these practical tips and phrases help you feel more confident about speaking English without fear of error.
Remember, fluency is communication, not perfection.
That was a great talk.
Yes, see you in the next episode of The English Blend.